I survived 100 days in Minecraft Pokemon, or specifically Cobblemon. Cobblemon is a Pokemon mod in Minecraft which basically makes the game a playable Pokemon game. Kind of like Pixelmon, but better in my opinion. Cobblemon actually just got a huge update, making more Pokemon available and just making the game better. The animations are better, the gameplay is better, the mechanics are better. Cobblemon is truly becoming one of the best Pokemon mods on Minecraft. The goal in these 100 days is quite simple. I'm gonna try to explore the world completely and try to catch every single Pokemon in the game. Just like the catchphrase, gotta catch 'em all. So grab some popcorn, relax, and watch me collect all the Pokemon in Cobblemon. On day 1, I spawned in the world and had to decide which starter Pokemon I was gonna choose. The choices are quite simple actually. They've updated the game to include every single Pokemon starter up to date. Last time I chose Chimchar, so I decided to switch it up a bit and choose Oshawott for my starter. I actually used Oshawott when I originally played Pokemon Black when I was a kid. A water type will become quite useful in this game because water makes a great advantage to most Pokemon. I started off actually fighting this random Teddiursa I found in the wild, just to test out Oshawott's strength, and I of course easily beat that Teddiursa. Oshawott is now level 10. At level 16 he actually evolved, so I had to battle some more Pokemon to level up Oshawott. In the wild I also found this Patrat, and it was no problem for Oshawott to beat. Oshawott now turned level 11 and he learned the move Soak and Water Sport, which aren't really good, they don't do any damage, so I'll probably change them later. I had to now do the classic Minecraft objectives and collect some wood. I turned the wood into a crafting table. I collected these berries, which we actually need to use to make Pokeballs later. These berries are needed to craft Pokeballs, which are necessary to complete this game. After placing the crafting table, I had to figure out what exactly I had to do to create Pokeballs. I found out that I needed copper ingots to actually create Pokeballs. Later during the night, I found this random Fanfy in the wild at level 13. I decided to fight it, and it was no problem for Oshawott. Never mind, Oshawott actually died. Now that Oshawott fainted, I had to take my revenge on this Fanfy, and I started punching it. There was no rules that I couldn't fight the Pokemon, right? Moving on, it was nighttime, and I had no home. Now, if you guys watch my videos and you don't know, on the first night, I always dig a hole and wait for the next day. From days 2 to 5, I found this random village, entered a home, and found this L-Gym randomly in this house. I decided to fight it, maybe catch it, but then realized I had no Pokeballs. So I might as well defeat it and get some XP for Oshawott. It was a pretty easy match. Oshawott won, and Oshawott turned level 12. We're almost at the point we can evolve. I then fought a Meowth where I easily got defeated because I had no health. At this point, I needed some materials to craft a pickaxe and actually progress in the traditional Minecraft way. I crafted a wooden pickaxe and started mining some stone. I then found this random chest in the middle of the forest with these relic coins inside them, as well as these XP candy, which can actually grow the level of your Pokemon. I made Oshawott level 16 and he can actually evolve soon. I then found a random chest, but when I touched it, it turned into a Pokemon called Gimmighoul. This is one of the newer Pokemon, so I had no idea about this one. I started fighting it. It was kind of tough. It was level 16 as well, but Oshawott quickly became able to defeat it. It was a pretty close match though. I then found another chest on my way around the forest, and this one was another Gimmighoul. I decided to not even try to fight it because Oshawott had enough fighting for the day. So I ran away and found some berries on this random tree. I need these to craft some Pokeballs later in the day. I believe the red ones actually create the regular Pokeball, but I'm not 100% sure. I then went ahead and changed the moves for Oshawott, as well as evolved him into Dewott. We officially got Dewott on the team. We're one step ahead of catching every Pokemon in the game. I then found this chest with some golden armor and equipped it, of course. Throughout the day, I collected copper and had to smelt it in this village I found. I used some wooden planks and smelted the copper ore. I then switched out some armor for iron. I got some copper ingots after some time of smelting. I think it's time to create some Pokeballs and finally catch some Pokemon. I crafted crafted some sport balls as well as some net balls and a couple other Pokeballs. You can actually use your coins to put them in a pouch. I'm not sure what we can use that for, but I did that. I slept the night, and the next day I woke up to a Sneasel next to my bed. I fought it and contemplated if I should catch it. I decided to catch it with a sport ball. It didn't actually work the first time around, but the next time I threw a Pokeball, it actually worked. We officially have Sneasel on the team. A pretty balanced Pokemon, Ice type. I'm not sure about the new version of this Pokemon, but it seems really cool and a good addition to the team. I then found a Gramble, which I've never seen in this game before. I decided to fight it. It was level 24, so DWAT was no chance against it. I threw out Sneasel. Sneasel actually did a little bit of damage, but there was no chance of winning. I then found one of my favorite Pokemon, Gabite. Gabite was just sitting there, level 24. All my Pokemon fainted, but I could still throw a Pokeball at it. Luckily, it actually got caught after the second try. The chances of this happening were so low, but it actually worked. Gabite was officially part of the crew. Gabite actually evolves into Garchomp, which is one of the strongest Pokemon in the generation. I can't believe we have Gabite on the team. Our team is slowly getting built. I actually had these items, a Covert Cloak. I added them to both Gabite and DWAT. Covert Cloak actually protects a Pokemon from the additional effects of a move. This could come in handy in the future. From day 13 to 21, I started off the day by finding this random Starly next to the village. It was at level 24, so it should be evolved already. I fought it, it wasn't too hard, and I had to catch this. We need a flying type on the team. I threw out a Pokeball, and it caught pretty quickly. We now have Starly on the team, and right when I caught it, it was already ready to evolve. So I evolved Starly into Staravia. Just look at that Pokemon. Really cute Pokemon. We have a new addition to the team. Then when walking around the town, I found a Lopunny, which is personally one of my favorite Pokemon, if you know what I mean. So I threw out a Pokeball. It was not too hard to catch. It was at level 30, so it would be our strongest Pokemon on the team. When walking around, I also encountered a Growlithe. This Growlithe was level 34, so I had to catch it. But when I used Razor Shell on Growlithe, it was a one hit, which I didn't expect since DWAT's level 19. Why did we lose it? I wanted that Growlithe. RIP to the Growlithe. Pay your condolences in the comment section below. Now, when walking back, I found a Pidgeot, level 37. I tried to catch it, but I already knew there was no chance. Then, when walking around, I also found a Yamper at level 27. Shouldn't be too hard to catch. I threw a Pokeball, and I caught it pretty easily. Now, during the night, I went to my party, and I started adjusting a couple moves. I gave DWAT Fury Cutter, I gave Lopunny the move Rotilier, and I evolved Yamper into Boltund. Our team is slowly but surely getting built. I also switched Boltund's moves a little bit. I mean, just look at him, a great addition to the team. We got DWAT, Sneasel, Gabite, Staravia, Lopunny, and Boltund. I then slept the night and woke up actually trying to find some fossils. Now, a new addition to Cobblemon is that you can now find fossils in certain caves. These fossils can then be turned into certain fossil Pokemon. I think one of them is called Almanite, something like that. But the typical fossil Pokemon you find in every Pokemon game. Now, when looking for fossils, I found this diamond in the bottom of a lake. Not a fossil, but I'll definitely take it. From day 22 to 35, I continued trying to find these fossils, which are not easy to find. After finding the diamond, I actually found a Everstone, I think. It's used to keep a Pokemon from evolving, which I don't really want to do right now. I also found some copper ingots, but no fossils to be found for right now. I later found this weird tower where on top of it was another chest. I took the coins as usual, and there was also some XP candy, so I used it on DWAT as well as Gabite to try to evolve them as soon as possible. Now, when exploring around, it was kind of nighttime. I found this beautiful Arcanine level 30. I lost the Growlithe previously, so I had to catch this Pokemon. I threw out DWAT, and this time I'm not gonna kill it. I used Razor Shell, and thankfully it didn't die in one hit, but DWAT did. So I threw out Staravia, used Quick Attack. I'm trying to weaken Arcanine to a point where I can catch him comfortably. Arcanine did also kill Staravia as well. Now it was time to try to catch him. I threw a Pokeball. The first try, it did not work. I kept throwing Pokeballs. I threw this Love Ball, and it also did not work. I only had 8 Pokeballs left, but I had to catch this Pokemon. I threw a Love Ball, and thankfully, it actually got caught. We officially have Arcanine on the team now. I mean, just look at him. I actually think you can ride him in this game. So what did I decide to do? I threw out Arcanine, I hopped on his back, and I started riding him. I don't think I'm ever gonna say that again, but it was a lot of fun. From day 36 to 45, it was a continued journey on trying to catch as much Pokemon as possible. I came across this Ariados, which is not my favorite Pokemon, but I tried to catch it. Unfortunately, Gabite kind of killed it in one hit. I then found this Chatot, which is not my favorite Pokemon, kind of a bird Pokemon that's not really powerful in Generation 4. Now, I threw a Pokeball, it didn't get caught, so what I decided to do is keep trying. I only had 2 Pokeballs left, so if I ran out, I'd get away with no Pokemon. Thankfully though, I did catch it. I don't think Chatot's worth being part of the team right now just because of his power level. Now, when walking through this jungle, I also found a Apom, which is one of my personal favorite Pokemon. I threw out Staravia, started attacking it. It was low health, so it was the perfect time to throw some Pokeballs. Unfortunately, I only had 2 Pokeballs left, so things didn't really look good. I decided to just kill it, get the XP, and leave. Now, during the night, I went ahead and looked for some more ore. I need some materials to progress in Minecraft. I got some iron ingots, copper ingots, and about everything you need to progress in the game. From day 45 to 58, I continued exploring. I found this random chest again. Don't really want this Pokemon, so I killed it, got the coins, and dipped. Now, when exploring this jungle, I actually found a huge Pokemon, Tropius. It was level 31, so it was kind of intimidating at this point. I threw out Gabite, used Dragon Breath. Tropius protected itself. I tried throwing some Pokeballs, but remember, I only have 2 Pokeballs, so things didn't really look good here. I had 2 chances of catching Tropius. He killed my Gabite, and I decided to throw a Pokeball. Let's see what we get. At the first Pokeball, I actually did not catch it. I used Flamethrower, and Tropius got killed. I continued exploring. I found this elephant Pokemon, not really strong. I threw a Pokeball. It's called Cufant. It's one of the new ones, but I have a problem where I try fighting these Pokemon and I kill them in one shot. What should I do about that? I also found this Timber next to a lake, threw a Pokeball, didn't really fight it. It was pretty low leveled, so I caught it the first try. I also found this Mastiff. I weakened it a little bit, threw a Pokeball as well, and we caught Mastiff as well. We are slowly but surely completing the Pokédex. I found this Vivillon, I think is what it's called. Threw a Pokeball as well. And again, I ran through this problem where Arcanine just killed every Pokemon in one hit. RIP in the chat. Now, when walking around, I found this Bouffalon, which is one of my personal kind of favorite Pokemon. I weakened it enough to throw a Pokeball. I actually got some Pokeballs this time, over, I think, 20 round Pokeballs. So we had a good chance of catching Bouffalon this time. I threw a Pokeball again, and I caught Bouffalon. From day 59 to 65, I was on a journey of actually trying to catch legendary Pokemon. Now, legendary Pokemon in Cobblemon are not common. This, I kid you not, took days, hours, a long time to find. But when walking through this cave, I found a wild Moltres. I had to catch this Pokemon. The aura around this Pokemon was insane. I threw out Arcanine, weakened it a bit, but obviously Moltres is stronger than Arcanine. I weakened Moltres to a point where I could catch it. I threw out a Love Ball, didn't work, threw out another one. It was a continued journey. If you guys have ever played Pokemon, you know how hard it is to catch these Pokemon. I think that the catch rate is less than 5%. Thankfully enough though, I did have a bunch of Pokeballs, so I had a decent chance of catching it. Now, the problem was Moltres was completely wiping out my team. At this point, all I had left was D-Watt. I kept throwing Pokeballs. I started to become worried because I was slowly running out. I must have thrown over 20 Pokeballs at this point. I kept trying though, but unfortunately, I actually had Boltund left. I used the move and it killed Moltres. I tried so hard for that, man. That took so long. When it died, it did leave some chicken and some bones, so I guess I'll be sleeping full tonight. The next Pokemon I encountered was Charizard. My personal favorite Pokemon. I know I say that a lot, but Charizard is my childhood favorite. We found him on top of this mountain. I threw a Arcanine. Of course, we got a weakened Charizard. I was not gonna lose this Pokemon though. I kept throwing Pokeballs. Charizard isn't as hard to catch as a legendary, but still not too easy. I threw another Pokeball, and thankfully enough, we caught Charizard. He's part of the team. From day 66 to 75, I was on a journey to find Gyarados. Gyarados randomly spawns in pools of water. It's not too hard to find him. I found him in this little lake. The problem was none of my Pokemon really could fight in the water. As you guys can see, Arcanine was scared of the water. You see him hopping in the water. Arcanine stood no chance at this point. Gyarados was completely wiping out my team. As you can see, it's nighttime now. I kept throwing Pokeballs, but Gyarados was not giving up. I was almost at my last Pokemon. I threw a Pokeball. You can't really see the Pokeball since it's underwater, but I did catch Gyarados at the end of the day. We now have Charizard and Gyarados on the team. Our team is looking stacked. The next day, I woke up and found a Slowbro kind of sitting on the beach. Really chill Pokemon. We gotta catch it. We gotta complete the Pokédex. I don't think Slowbro is really a good addition to the team right now since we already have Gyarados. Now, when fighting him, Boltund did paralyze him, weaken him enough so that when I threw the Pokeball, it was a pretty easy catch. When walking around the beach, I found this Aerodactyl as well. Crazy Pokemon, huge. You can see how huge he is compared to Boltund. I threw a Quick Ball. I was stacked on Pokeballs, so I had no worries about catching him. Of course, we had to weaken him a little bit, paralyze him, threw a Great Ball, and of course, we caught Aerodactyl. Now, let me know, do you think Aerodactyl would be a good addition to the team at this point? The next couple days, I kept exploring. These rare Pokemon are not easy to find. It takes hours to find them. They do not spawn often, but when walking around at night, I did find this Blastoise and was attacked by these random bird creatures. What is that? I had 2 hearts left. What I don't think Pokemon can attack them. I had 1 heart. I threw a Quick Ball at Blastoise and got killed. We're gonna move on from that. From day 76 to 99, I actually found another one of my favorite Pokemon, Greninja, in the wild. We threw out Boltund. Our team was really stacked, so I had no worries about catching Greninja. I threw out a Pokeball, and it was no problem catching him. Now let me know, what Pokemon is stronger, Greninja or Dewott? Do we switch out Dewott? Dewott's to OG, he's our starter. Let me know in the comment section below. Now, in walking around this mountain, I kind of felt a weird aura. All of a sudden, a thunderstorm started surrounding me. I heard these bells, the sky started changing, and there it was. Rayquaza appeared. Out of nowhere, Rayquaza appeared on top of this mountain. Now, when I started fighting him, the sky started turning crazy. Lightning was appearing everywhere. I was scared. Rayquaza was level 45. Thankfully, I had a decent amount of Pokeballs, so there was a small chance I could catch Rayquaza. Rayquaza was obliterating my team in 1 hit. Using Hyper Voice and these kind of really strong moves, my team stood 0% chance. The only slight chance I could have is if one of these shots I had, I could catch him with one of these Pokeballs. Now remember, in this game, you don't have to have Pokemon to catch Pokemon. So when I started trying to catch him, I knew my team would get wiped out before there was a chance of catching him. Now what I did was, after my team got completely obliterated, I still had around like 20 to 30 Pokeballs, so I just started throwing them at him. 1 by 1, the chance was low, but eventually I caught Rayquaza. What are the chances of that? It's less than 1%. I slept good that night. We added Rayquaza to the team. At this point, I had to fix up my team. I added Rayquaza. I replaced Staravia since Staravia is not really too strong. I also switched out Lopunny. I added Aerodactyl. I wasn't too sure about that one, but I still had Dewott on the team. I looked at Rayquaza's moves for a bit. He has a bunch of moves, but I think his moves are okay for now. I added Dragon Ascent. I gave Charizard Dragon Breath as well. Now, on day 100, there was one thing I had to try. The one thing I remember when I used to play Pokemon as a kid is that there was this specific place where you rang a bell and then a legendary Pokemon appeared. So I found this bell in a village, rang it, and this is what happened. The entire sky started turning black. And then all of a sudden, a Xerneas appeared. This is really clever by the creators of this game. Xerneas appeared out of nowhere. Now, I threw out Arcanine, tried to catch this Pokemon. I stocked up on Pokeballs before I tried this, just in case it actually worked. I started using Flamethrower, trying to weaken Xerneas a bit. But as you guessed, Xerneas is a very powerful, fairy-type legendary Pokemon. I switched out Arcanine and threw out Rayquaza so I could actually do some damage on Xerneas. Now, when Xerneas was weakened a bit, I started throwing some Pokeballs. Of course, Xerneas has a low chance of being caught because he's a legendary, but I continued trying to catch him. Xerneas is the legendary Pokemon of Pokemon X, if you don't know. Now, after continued tries of trying to catch Xerneas, eventually we actually had a chance of catching him. I threw a Pokeball and we actually caught Xerneas. We now have 2 legendary Pokemon on the team. The next thing I decided to do was add Xerneas to the team. I switched out Gabite. I love Gabite, but Xerneas is just better. I'm sorry, guys. The next thing I tried to do was look around caves because I heard that we could find a legendary Mewtwo. I found this random cave, and of course, we found Mewtwo. Mewtwo is a classic legendary Pokemon from the original Pokemon games. Now, I had to throw out Rayquaza because none of my other Pokemon could really stand a chance. Mewtwo had to be one of the hardest Pokemon to catch. It took literally around an hour to catch this Pokemon. As you can see, it became day by the time I actually had a chance of catching it. I thankfully brained enough Pokeballs, so there was no problem with that. But it took so long. It took hours, man. I think a whole day passed by the time we actually caught him. I threw a Pokeball of all types of Pokeballs, the original Pokeball, and we caught Mewtwo. I think the chance of catching him with that Pokeball was less than 1%. Of course, I'm jumping in joy, but we had to continue the journey. Now, randomly, when walking through this kind of winter plain, I found this Suicune, but it's not Suicune, it's called Walking Wake. I think it's one of the new Pokemon, legendary Pokemon, in the recent Pokemon games. This Pokemon, though, wiped out my Rayquaza in one hit. I threw out a quick ball, trying to like take advantage of the quickness this battle took place. It didn't work though. I threw a heavy ball, and in my second try, I actually caught Walking Wake. We now have 3 legendary Pokemon. Let's go. This took hours, by the way. This was not easy. At this point, it became the end of the day, and we officially completed the 100 days. We did not complete the entire Pokédex, but I think we did a good job. If you guys want me to spend another 100 days in Cobblemon, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. I'll see you guys next time. I love you guys. Watch this video above.